box contains a game board, 4 busters, 2 evil scientists, 4 radioactive switches, 4 noble gases, 40 anion cards, 40 cation cards, 30 power cards, 30 red shot cards and 30 yellow shot cards.
Setting up the game. Place the 4 busters in the 4th corner of the board. Place the 2 evil scientists in any of the 4 blue dots. Place the 4 radioactive switches in the radioactive signs. And place the noble gases with the nodes marked with G. Moving around. Each player can move 2 nodes at a time. For example, 1, 2. The players can move 2 nodes in any direction they want. This is applicable for the busters as well as scientists. Similarly, the scientist can also move 2 nodes in any direction. On moving, if the buster lands on a blue node, the buster picks a blue cation card. Similarly, further moving, if the buster lands on a red node, the buster picks up a anion card, that is the red one. Now, the buster has to see that the positive charge of potassium is satisfied with the negative charge of chlorine. Therefore, the bond is complete and the buster receives a yellow shot card. For the scientist also, the rules are same. If the scientist lands on a blue node, the scientist picks up a blue card, and if the scientist lands on a red node, he receives another red card. But in this case, the negative charge of fluorine is not balanced with the positive 2 charge of magnesium. Therefore, the scientist has to collect another negative charge of fluorine and satisfy the bond. In this case, the -1 and -1 gets balanced with the +2 of magnesium. Therefore, the scientist also receives a red short card. On every cation and anion pair a team makes, they receive a shot. If the scientist lands on the same node where the buster is standing, the scientist has the power to send the buster to the dark cell. But for this, the scientist has to give away 2 of his short cards back to the deck of cards. The short cards can be shared by 4 busters. In order to free the busters which is in dark cell, any of the 4 busters have to give away their 3 shots back to the deck of the cards. Now that buster who was inside the dark cell is free to play again. Like the scientist can put the busters inside dark cell, similarly the busters can also put the scientist in the dark cell. For example, if the busters lands on the same node where the scientist is standing, the scientist is sent to the dark cell. But for this, the buster has to give away 4 of his short cards back to the deck of cards. There are 4 secret routes marked on the board. These secret routes can be accessed only by the scientist. For example, if they stand on the door of the secret route, they can directly move on the dotted line and appear on the other side of the board. If a buster lands on a node marked with power, the buster picks a power card. The buster has then to follow the instructions written on the power card. The buster has to move 2 nodes at a time and pick up the noble gas and keep it to themselves. In this way, all the noble gas has to be collected by the busters. Similarly, the evil scientist has to pick up the radioactive switches and keep it to themselves. The scientist has to collect all the 4 radioactive switches from their respective nodes. If any of the busters reach the green nodes, the buster can place the noble gas on the green node. Similarly, if all the 4 busters reach the green node, they can place the noble gases on the green nodes. The busters win if they place all the 4 noble gases before the scientists put the radioactive switches on the nodes marked S. In this condition, the busters win. However, the busters cannot place any noble gas unless and until the busters has any unbalanced charge with him. Therefore, the busters has to balance all the charges and make a pair of cation and anion card. Only then he is able to place the noble gas on the green nodes. Similarly, when the evil scientist reaches the node marked S, they can place one radioactive switch on the node. Likewise, all the 4 radioactive switches has to be placed. However, the same condition applies for the scientist also. If they have any unbalanced charge with them, they cannot place the radioactive switches. They need to balance all the charges, only then they can place the radioactive switches. And if they do it before the busters, in this case the scientists win.